really excited to chat with you today about hormones and why you need to stop blaming them. So, because we all have a tendency to do it. I do it, my friends do it, my clients do it, my family members do it. Everyone on the internet does it. So you're not alone if you blame your hormones for having a hard time losing weight, if you're blaming your hormones for how tired you're feeling, if you're blaming your hormones for yelling at your kids last night, whatever it is that you're blaming your hormones for, or if you're postmenopause, your lack of hormones for, I want you to stop blaming them. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we'll get into it here in a minute. Just first, a little bit about me. I'm Coach Erin. If you haven't met me before, hi, nice to meet you. I am the founder of EM Health and Wellness. And really, I'm just here to help you lift the veil on healthy living, on weight loss. I know if you Google these days what to eat to be healthy, it's like, don't eat meat, don't eat vegetables, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Do this one thing, but everything contradicts one another. And same in the world of fitness. And you also, how to get healthy. And it's like, manage your hormones. It's your hormones are the problem. Something's always the problem, right? And the solutions are varied and vast, and it makes it all so confusing. So my goal always is just to help you lift the veil a little bit and to help you find the way to lose weight, the way to live a healthy life that works for you, so that you can do it every day for the rest of your life and feel wonderful. So that's my whole goal. That's why I'm here. That's why I show up on these Facebook Lives. And yeah, so let's get into it. Let me know you're here. I also want to know you're here. So if you're here, drop me something in the comments. Let me know any thoughts that you have about what I'm saying. Just shoot me a hello. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're listening. If you're watching the replay, I want to know about that too. And if you want to learn more about how to incorporate healthy habits into your life, really tune into these videos, watch these videos. Every week it's something new. Sometimes it's nutrition. Sometimes it's about fitness goals. Sometimes it's about hormones, but it's different every week. Sometimes it's about mindset. And I do one a week. So tune in every week and you're going to get tons and tons and tons of free information about how you can incorporate things into your life to live a healthier life, whether it's for weight loss or regaining energy or just feeling better generally. So keep joining me, start joining me, and yeah, every week. So let's get into this, why you should stop blaming your hormones, okay? So we need to stop blaming our hormones. This is like a must, okay? And we tend to blame our hormones as women, I would say this is something that lives almost solely in the realm of like the female experience. But as women, we tend to blame our hormones for weight gain, for an inability to lose weight, for mood swings, cravings, poor sleep, sexual behavior, screaming at our kids. Like we use hormones as like a bit of a catch-all to blame anything that we feel isn't great in our lives, right? And we've really been encouraged to blame our hormones for just about everything. And it's really been a hot topic in the last few years around weight loss, especially for women of a certain age, women in midlife. There's a lot of stuff on the internet out there about how your hormones are making you fat. But really, this sort of blame game goes back even farther to when women were diagnosed with something called hysteria. So hysteria, we might know as like a Def Leppard album from the 1980s, or we might know it as, maybe sometime in your life, someone said to you, oh, don't be hysterical. But the word hysteria is actually derived from the Greek word hystera, which means uterus or womb. And the first recording of hysteria being like a diagnosis was in 1900 BC. That's a long time ago. So hysteria was very common. It was a catch-all medical diagnosis that more or less meant that the patient was a woman and B was crazy. Okay, so not very nice, right? So just by virtue of having a womb, you were ill. And then there was a lot of symptoms that went along with that and how they diagnosed it, right? So this sort of mindset around hormones, around female health goes back to 1900 BC, as far as we know, perhaps back even farther. So even the hot topic in the last few years being hormones making you fat, this is not a new thing. So basically, for much of history, having a monthly hormonal cycle has been widely viewed as a problem or an illness, a female complaint, a thing to blame stuff on. And like I said earlier at the top of this call, I've heard it from clients, I hear it from friends, I hear it coming out of my own mouth. Can't lose the weight because of my hormones. I tried everything and I can't lose the weight. It's gotta be my hormones. I'm tired all the time. It's gotta be my hormones. I have my period and I want to like kill my children. And all of these things, and there's more. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? And I'm sure you have experienced this at some point in your life, and are potentially still experiencing this. Whether you are in a time of your life where you still get a period and you still have the monthly cycles, or whether or not you're in a time in your life where you are going through the change, like we even have these big scary terms for the change, right? If you're at a time in your life where you're having like pretty massive hormonal disruption due to your age and perimenopause and menopause, whatever it is, this is something that all women experience because all women have estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Caveat, of course, if you have had your uterus removed, your ovaries, things like that, you have a different hormone profile than when you had those reproductive organs. That doesn't mean you still don't have hormone cycles. This is an interesting thing. I'm not going to get into that today. That's a different discussion. But at some point in your life, most of you have experienced hormone fluctuations to some degree. So when I say you need to stop blaming your hormones, I first would like to say, and I want to be very, very, very clear about this. I am not saying that hormones are not a thing. I am not saying the hormones are not impactful. They most certainly are. Okay. Hormone cycles are real. Huge hormonal changes are real. Hormonal disruption is real. Hormonal illnesses like PCOS are absolutely a real thing. And all of these things are absolutely impactful on your life. So when I say don't blame your hormones, I'm not saying your hormones aren't a thing. It's all in your head. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, they are impactful, but we need to stop blaming them for everything. And I'm going to get into why. But our feelings, our beliefs, our language around our hormones are reflective of our relationship with ourselves and with our bodies. So for the most part, we see hormones are things that are working against us. And this is very cultural. This is societal. We are kind of raised up to kind of see hormones as but they are something that's working against us. They are things that are separate from ourselves. They are separate from our bodies. They are doing things to us. And this simply is not true. They are very much a part of us. They are very much a part of our bodies. And we need to begin to see hormones as not as separate, but as part of us, right? Certainly not something that's turning against us. Because our beliefs around anything, but our beliefs around our hormones and around our bodies impact the action that we take. Okay, so if you're wanting to lose weight, if you're wanting to make changes in your life, in your health, if you want to have more energy, if you just want to feel better physically and mentally, you need to come from a place of empowerment and motivation, or you will fail. Okay, and if your body and your hormones are the enemy, you can't work with them to make changes, because what do we do to enemies? We don't work with enemies. We fight enemies. We kill enemies. We run from enemies, right? So if your hormones are the enemy, you can't work with them to improve your health, right? You can only fight them. So we need to step outside of that and step into our hormones, so to speak, right? If we don't do this, we often end up in a place of just feeling hopeless, feeling like there's nothing you can do to change it. This is just the way it is. And this is not a powerful place to be in. And whenever we're making changes in our life, we need to be coming from a place of power and empowerment, because that's more motivating and you're more likely to create change that matters and you're more likely to stick with that change. Okay. So as we go through hormonal shifts, so there's adolescence, there's menopause, but there's also the monthly cycle. These things are impactful to our lives. Again, I want to acknowledge this. It is impactful. It is a thing that is happening. You're not making it up, okay? Let's acknowledge this. And this is whether your cycles are normal or whether your cycles are out of whack. Either way, cycles can be quite disruptive to our lives. So we're going to acknowledge that, but we're also going to acknowledge that we don't need to blame our hormones for everything. And let's get into why. Let's get into the 3 main reasons why you need to stop doing this, okay? So if you have any questions about this, if you have any thoughts about this, then please drop them in the comments. I want to know. So the 3 main reasons to stop blaming your hormones for anything and everything. So whenever we blame, it puts the control outside of ourselves. This puts us in a place of feeling hopeless, of feeling powerless. And we, like I was just saying, we want to come from a place of empowerment, because from a place of empowerment, this is where we can look for solutions. And this is where we can act on those potential solutions and take action that matters. And when the control is outside of ourselves, so whether that's, whether we're blaming someone or something, this is not just for hormones, this could be for anything. But when we put that control outside of ourselves, the blame often can become really automatic. We go on like autopilot blame mode, right? Something is wrong, we blame our hormones. We don't feel great, we blame our hormones. We can't lose the weight, we blame our hormones, right? So we're just on this autopilot of putting the blame, putting the control outside of ourselves. And what this can lead to is really missing or discounting other reasons we might be feeling a certain way, or gaining weight, or not losing the weight. So for example, if you're in midlife, let's say you're there right now, I am, and you've put on a few pounds, this is quite normal, and you want to lose a few pounds and you just can't do it. And you're blaming it on that time of life, you're blaming it on the hormones, you're less likely to look at other possibilities. And you're less likely to be open to other possibilities, okay? So an example in midlife of this is as we age, a few things happen. We lose muscle mass, we tend to move less, like statistically speaking, the older we get, the less we move, all of us, okay? This is a fact for most of us. Some of this is when some of us start going to the gym more, so that's different, but sort of in general, we tend to move less, we lose muscle mass. What this means is that you need fewer calories. You just need fewer calories. But a lot of us in midlife, we keep eating the same. We eat exactly the same as we did before, or sometimes we're moving less, we're sitting in front of the TV more, we're reading more books, we're in that time of life where it's more restful. Sometimes we end up eating a little bit more because often during those activities, we like to snack, right? So if you're in midlife and you can't lose the weight and you are out of touch with your hunger and fullness scale, so hunger and fullness scale is checking in with your body. It's super easy. You just check in with your body. Am I hungry? Do I need food? Does my body need fuel right now? If it does, you eat. If it doesn't, you don't eat. And then when you're eating, you're very conscious about your fullness level. And you stop eating when you stop being hungry. A lot of us eat to that point of feeling really full. And we get there because we weren't paying attention, okay? So if you're in midlife, you can't lose the weight and you're out of touch with this internal hunger and fullness scale, and you're eating kind of like you ate before, there's a good chance you're eating too much. You're eating more calories than your body needs because, like I said, we tend to move less and we just need fewer calories because we lose muscle mass, okay? So this is a great example of, I'm at midlife, I gained all this weight, it's because of my hormones, I'm not even gonna try to lose the weight because I can't because my hormones. Well, this is going to lead you to missing or completely missing that it actually could be that you don't need the same amount of calories as you needed before, okay? And it can lead to missing out on all sorts of other information and discounting other things that might be going on in your body that might lead to ill health or weight gain or an inability to lose weight. And this goes for other symptoms as well. So, you know, when you still are in that place of getting your period and you have cycles and you're tired, right? And you're just like, oh, I have my period, so I'm tired. That could lead you to completely discounting the fact that you just had an insane week and you didn't set boundaries with people when you should have and could have. And you know, you just say it's my hormones. And when you do that, then it's like, and you discount that maybe you need to incorporate more rest into your life, or maybe you need to set some boundaries with people and you're just cranky because of hormones, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Sleep is another big one. People are like, oh, I can't sleep because of my hormones. And yes, hormones absolutely impact sleep. Again, want to be clear, hormones do make a difference, okay? And they do impact sleep. We're not going to go, maybe I'll do a whole training actually on sort of what your hormonal cycles do and why they're doing it. But so you could be having disrupted sleep because of hormones. But if you just automatically go to blaming and put the control outside of there, you're less likely to look at your sleep environment, you're less likely to look at your sleep routine, you're less likely to take action on things that could improve your sleep, even with the hormones that are impacting your sleep, okay? So we need to get honest and conscious about what is potentially really going on or going on as well. So yes, the hormones might be disrupting your sleep, but watching 2 hours of action television before you go to bed might also be disrupting your sleep. And if you're blaming it all on the hormones, you're going to not look at that. You're going to not do anything about that, okay? So that's reason number one. Blaming puts control outside of ourselves and leads us to a place where we're missing or discounting other reasons that we may be feeling a certain way or having certain things happen to us. If you have any questions about that, if you have any comments, if you have any experience where you're like, oh yeah, I know maybe where I did that, let me know in the comments. And then reason number two, when we blame our hormones, it puts us in a place of really seeing ourselves as broken. Sort of broken by virtue of being a woman. And this is an old stereotype I would love to see us rid ourselves of. So women, by virtue of hormone cycles, are something that need to be fixed or managed, right? And what needs to actually be managed is how we see the symptoms of hormonal cycles. And we need to start seeing the symptoms of hormonal cycles as indicators. Okay, not as something that needs to be cured, not as something that needs to be just lived with. But if we can start seeing what happens to us in our period cycles or as we go through menopause as indicators, as our body's speaking to us in terms of something that we might need, it's a whole different shift. It's a whole different paradigm. We're no longer broken. Our hormones become part of us, not something we're working against, and we can work with them, okay? So let's talk about, in this context, blame versus explanation. So we want to move from blame and seeing ourselves as broken into a place of explanation and indication. So when we can recognize the symptoms of hormonal shifts as indicators of something our body is asking for, we can then use that information to nurture ourselves more fully, and we can use that to empower ourselves to make the changes that we need to make. So let's give an example of this. So within a cycle, if you're still getting your period, or even if you don't, you might very well remember this. This is one of the most common PMS symptoms, indicators, is cravings. So, you know, 4 days, 7 days, 10 days before you get your period, all you want to eat, you want all the chips, you want all the ice cream, you want all the chocolate, okay? What you're craving is carbs and sweets. What you're craving is easy access sugar for your body. And there's a reason for this, okay? It's because our body needs to be producing estrogen at this time in progesterone at this time in our cycle. And you know what your body needs in order to produce progesterone? Actually, in order to synthesize progesterone, to make progesterone, your body needs sugar. It needs carbohydrates, okay? Because sugar and carbs become sugar, right? So our body needs carbohydrates to manufacture progesterone. This is why you have the cravings. It's not because your body is turning against you. It's because it needs something from you. So when we know these things, and when we know that our hormones are asking us for something, then we can provide that. So then have some chips. I'm not going to tell you not to eat chips when you're PMSing. Have some chips. Maybe don't eat the whole bag of chips, right? Have some chocolate. Have the good chocolate. Have the yummy fair trade, maybe not quite dark chocolate because it might not quite quench that craving, but the better chocolate. So listen to those cravings and give your body what it needs in your meals, because I'm always like protein, right? Still have the protein, but maybe have like a little bit more yam or sweet potato with that. Maybe have a little bit more rice with that. Give your body what it needs. If it's craving something, look at that. And sometimes when we're craving stuff, it's because we're tired. Sometimes it's because it's lonely, we're sad. Often cravings are emotional. Sometimes cravings are hormonal, and there is a reason for it. So we need to understand that and see these cravings as an indicator. This is why I think cycle tracking is so important, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of the call. And then another explanation we can look at is, and I talked about this before, in menopause, women gain weight. This is so common. This is actually very normal. And I gotta say, if you are 50 and beyond, and you have an expectation of looking like you did when you were 20 years old, it's probably not realistic. So first of all, get your expectations in line. Second of all, we lose that muscle mass, okay? From 25 on, you're losing muscle mass. That greatly increases in perimenopause and menopausal years. We just start shedding muscle mass, right? Therefore, because muscles use a lot of energy, we have fewer muscles, we need fewer calories, right? So we need to eat fewer calories as menopausal, postmenopausal women. And if we listen, our bodies will tell us that. And if you've put on the weight and you can't get it off, you're not changing what you eat, weight gain is an indication of something. This is an indicator. Hormonal weight gain is an indicator of something. So you need to look at that and educate yourself and start listening to your body to figure out what it is indicating. And then you need to make the changes, okay? Also with menopausal women, something they really complain is the wrong word, they report feeling, is a sense of really feeling tired, feeling kind of brain foggy. This is normal. This is because your hormones are rapidly changing. Okay, hormones control everything in the body. And as your hormones change, how your brain works changes, and how everything changes. You feel more tired. The other thing that happens as we're aging is that we actually have less energy. Our mitochondria, this is a whole other thing, isn't working as efficiently as it used to. And so we actually have less energy. So this is also a time in life where we need to start slowing down a little bit, okay? So if you're feeling tired, is it your hormones? Or is it because you're 55 and you can't do what you did when you were 25? Because your mitochondria aren't quite as healthy as they once were, right? What do you do then? You support your mitochondrial health. You make sure you're getting enough rest. You do stress relieving activities. You work with the change, okay? So we need to step out of seeing ourselves as broken or ill or something that needs to be fixed, and start working with these indicators to make changes that are appropriate. Number 3 reason you need to stop blaming your hormones. This is a huge one. This is a huge one. This is an easier one to fix because it requires less educating of oneself, I guess I would say. But really, when we blame our hormones, it allows us to avoid responsibility. So blaming hormones allows us to avoid responsibility for our choices and our actions. When we blame someone or something else for where we're at, we give ourselves permission to do nothing about it. I'm going to say that again. This is so important. When we blame someone or something else, hormones in this case, for where we are at in our lives, we are in essence giving ourselves permission to do nothing about it. Okay? We don't have to take responsibility for our actions in this case, eating, moving, prioritizing sleep, getting those restorative activities in, even in our relationships, right? Like if you're cranky for two weeks a month, maybe it's your hormones. Maybe you haven't created clear boundaries in your relationship though. Maybe it's both, right? So this fits in with that, like, what are you discounting? What are you not paying attention to? Because you're blaming it on your hormones, right? But when we blame it on the hormones, we don't have to eat right. We don't have to like prioritize a good sleep routine, sleep hygiene. We don't have to take on activities that reduce stress in our life. We don't have to exercise because it's just our hormones. So there's no point. It's helpless. It's hopeless anyways. I don't need to do anything. There's no point. I'm not going to take responsibility for my health and even on my relationships sometimes. So again, hormones are a thing that have a deep impact. I'm going to keep saying this. They do. I know they do. I've experienced it. If you're a woman, you have experienced this, okay? And I do not want to discount that. Hormones are a thing that have deep impact, but we have to make sure we're not using those cycles or changes as an excuse to not do the things we need to do in order to live a healthy life. Your health is absolutely your responsibility. Your weight is your responsibility. And when you blame hormones for derailing these things, you shift the responsibility to managing health, to managing weight, to your hormones. It is not your hormones' responsibility to keep you thin. It is not your hormones' responsibility to keep you healthy. In fact, it's your responsibility to make healthy lifestyle choices. And when you do, this is going to positively impact your hormone fluctuations. The more healthy choices you're making around food and movement and sleep, the less negative impact hormones are going to have on your health. Okay. I'm going to say this again. This is so important. Your hormones, it is not your hormones' responsibility to keep you healthy. It is not your hormones' responsibility to make sure you maintain a healthy weight. It is your responsibility. It is your responsibility to make healthy lifestyle choices so that you can be in a better place hormonally. Okay. You got to make sure you don't have this the wrong way around. And when we blame our hormones, that's what we're doing. That's what we're passing the buck, right? So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if any of this is rubbing you the wrong way and you're like, I don't like this, let me know. Let's address it. I want to hear it. If you're like, oh yeah, this is me to a T, I totally like it. This totally resonates with me. I want to hear that too. I want to hear if you can relate to any of this. I want to hear if any of this was helpful for you. Did this light a bit of a fire under your butt to start making the healthy lifestyle choices? Let me know. Let me know what impact this live is having on your life. So let's go over it quick, and then I want to get into some things that you can do. So the 3 reasons you need to stop blaming your hormones is that when we blame our hormones, we put blame outside of ourselves. We lose control. And by control, I mean we lose the ability to see the whole picture. And we lose the ability to see what else might be going on, and we end up missing or discounting other things that could be contributing to a problem. The other reason is when we blame hormones, we are declaring ourselves broken and often unfixable. And we are not broken. Sometimes we need to make changes in our lives. Okay, that's okay. Nobody wants to be the same forever anyways, right? So we do. We need to continue to change as our bodies change. You can't be the same forever. And so as our bodies change, we need to make changes, but we are not broken. And we are not unfixable, because really we don't even, let's just get rid of that word entirely. We don't need to be fixed. We need to make changes. The 3rd reason you need to stop blaming your hormones is because it could be allowing you to avoid responsibility. When you avoid responsibility, you are not going to make the healthy choices that you need to make. It is your responsibility, not your hormones. So again, hormones are normal. Hormones do cause shift in life. They cause changes. They cause disruption sometimes. whether you're in a place where you still get a period and through the month. So in that case, then you have monthly changes in your hormones, causes shifts, it causes changes in your body is changing daily throughout the month. This causes you to feel certain ways, to behave certain ways, for physical manifestations to happen. This is normal. If you're going through menopause or if you're post-menopause, this is a huge physical shift and change in our lives. Okay. And yes, many women put on weight. Many people feel their energy levels drop. So this is totally natural. This is totally normal. Our hormones are changing. Our bodies are changing. And when our bodies change, we have to change how we treat them. Okay. We can't keep doing everything the same and say, oh, those gosh darn hormones. As our bodies change, we have to make changes with them. It's like, a great analogy is like, it's like a teenager. You know how teenagers, you see them, there's groups of them. I live in Canada. It's cold here in the winter. And it'll be like -10 and snowing. And there'll be like a group of teenagers walking down the street with t-shirts on. And you're just like, oh, God, kids these days, right? It's a lot like that. So, you know, these teenagers, they walk, they get home, they're like, oh, Mom, I'm so cold. And it's like, well, when you walk around in a t-shirt in the middle of winter, complaining you're cold out, complaining you're cold, it's a bit silly, right? Because when the seasons change, we have to change how we dress. Put a flippin' coat on already, right? Our bodies are exactly the same way, okay? We go through seasons, whether it's throughout the month. You could say that there's 3 seasons in a menstrual month. And you could say that in life, there's sort of like, you know, there's quite a few seasons, but there's adolescence, there's middle age, there's sort of childbearing, and there's menopause and postmenopause. So these are all seasons. And as we go through each of these seasons, we need to give our body something different. We need to change how we dress, so to speak. We need to change how we treat our bodies in each season of life. So hormone and lifestyle have a really, they have such an important interplay, right? And we need to recognize that. Unfortunately, we were never taught all this. We weren't. We were taught to fear our hormones and the changes that they bring. So I really am today, I'm trying to encourage you to start seeing them as indicators for how you need to live and how you need to treat your body. So what do you do instead? Well, if you're still at a time of life where you get monthly cycles, I highly recommend tracking those cycles. There's lots of apps online that you can use. Some are free, some you pay for, some have both options, but really like tracking and those cycles and sort of understanding your monthly cycle and understanding the shifts and changes that happen in your body in that throughout the month is really important. It makes huge differences, right? And you can even start practicing something which is called cyclical living. And this is where you just really, once you track it, you recognize patterns, you use these indicators to understand what your body needs. You can start eating a little bit differently at different times of month. You can start working a bit differently. I know for myself, I track and I get, my tired time is like 7 days-ish before I get my period. And my work schedule is very different at that time of month than it is at other times of the month, because I know I just need to be a little bit more. And even if you work for someone else, you can do this in terms of the types of work you're doing at certain types of there's coaches out there actually whose whole thing is to help you like incorporate cyclical living into your life. It's quite interesting, but just using that to understand what you need when. Really, I highly recommend educating yourself, right? So what is happening at different times of the month if you're still in a cycle? What happens as you go through perimenopause? What happens post-menopause? And educating yourself as to the changes that happen is really important. And there's some really great books written in the last couple of years. The Menopause Manifesto was quite a famous one that came out a couple of years ago that really explains this in a way that like any person can understand and gives you really helpful insight into changes that you can make and things that you can do for your body to help just to live a healthy lifestyle so that those hormonal disruptions aren't as disruptive. Work on your mindset. This is another big thing that you can do. So shift yourself away from my hormones are against me to like, that's just something that happens in this body because I have a body. it's a female body, and this is a thing that happens. So how can I work with it? How can I work with these hormones instead of the hormones being my enemy? So just really work on your mindset around this. And see yourself as needing to change. We need to change, okay? And actually, beyond seeing yourself as needing to change, see yourself as ready to change. So work on your mindset around, yeah, I need to change a little bit. I'm postmenopausal, my body is different now than it was 10, 20 years ago. I need to change. I need to treat it differently, and I want to treat it differently, and I'm ready for that change. And just seeing yourself as not broken. And then whether you're experiencing regular hormonal fluctuations or disrupted cycles, and when I say disrupted cycles, I mean if you're suffering from endometriosis or PCOS, because these are very much things that women absolutely suffer with, okay? You need to take responsibility, okay? And take responsibility for your health. So if you have sort of the regular monthly hormonal fluctuations, then just that tracking can really help. And take responsibility for eating good food, take responsibility for getting exercise, take responsibility for getting sleep, and it's really going to help with the symptoms or the indicators that you get during your cycle. If you are suffering with PCOS, with endometriosis, many of these things, really be your own best advocate. Find a gynecologist that you really trust. Talk to other people who suffer with these issues and find out what has worked for them, and just be your best advocate and take responsibility for managing these hormonal illnesses as best you can. And recognize that you are in partnership with your body, okay? You owe it as much as it owes you. In fact, you owe your body more than it owes you, because it just does it all, right? It just breathes, it just thinks, it just does all this stuff. It doesn't ask you for anything, right? Well, it does, but you're probably not listening, because most of us aren't. But you owe your body the benefit of eating well, of moving, of sleeping well, of being in healthy relationships. That's your responsibility. And you need to take that responsibility on, okay? So make the healthy lifestyle changes. And what are those healthy lifestyle changes? Eat well for your body. High protein, not even like crazy high, sufficient protein, right? 100 grams a day or more. Make sure you're getting your protein, make sure you're getting your fiber. So that's those like bright, colorful vegetables. Make sure you're eating some carbohydrates, but you're like limiting them. You're not living off the potato chips and the French fries, right? Getting a little bit at each meal. Make sure you're getting healthy fats. Cut out those vegetable oils, cut out those seed oils. If there is margarine in your fridge, I want you to go to the fridge and throw it out right now. Eat the butter, don't eat the margarine. Move your body, go for walks. Ladies, if you are trying to lose weight and you're really struggling with this and you can't, start some form of strength training. It doesn't have to be expensive. If this is something you want to do at home, you don't like the gym, go see a trainer, hire a trainer that you see once every 3 months. Okay, they're going to put together a program for you. You're going to do it for 3 months. You're going to go back to them. They're going to switch up your program a little bit. You can do it from home. Start strength training. Start using those muscles. There's tons of videos online. You can use resistance bands. You can use free weights. You can use your own body weight. But start strength training if you're having a hard time losing weight is often game changing. Mary, if you're watching now, how'd it go last night? And then go to bed earlier, right? Get the sleep that your body needs and requires. If you have a hard time sleeping, make the changes that are going to improve your sleep. Get the TV out of the flipping bedroom right now. Stop watching TV right before bed, okay? Have like a power down hour where you are on no devices an hour before bed. Maybe you're listening to calming music. Maybe you're meditating. Maybe you're just talking with your family, but not about stressful things. I was going to say have a cup of tea, but then you're up all night peeing, especially if you're a certain age. So don't do that. Like brush your teeth, wash your face, come up with like an hour every evening where you are not on a device, you are not stimulating yourself. See if that makes a difference to your sleep. And practice stress mitigation. Okay, this is huge. And seek help. If your doctor is brushing you off, This is super common when it comes to female health. If your doctor is brushing you off, if your doctor is like, oh, it's just your hormones, not much you can do about it, get a new doctor, which is, especially in Canada, easier said than done. Find an alternative practitioner. Naturopaths, they do the same amount of schooling as a doctor. They're often very well versed in hormonal health. So find someone who can help you. And if they are brushing you off, saying, oh, basically saying like, oh, it's just hysteria, but with modern medical terms, call them on it. Okay. Say, no, actually, yeah, I know hormonal stuff is a thing, but how do I manage this better? How do I make this less impactful for my life? Help me figure out what's going on for me. So seek help, right? And coaches, there's lots of hormonal coaches out there. I can help you with that if you want that. So if you're looking for a coach to help you incorporate the healthy living aspects into life that you need to have healthy hormones, then reach out. Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. DM me. We'll talk. But at the end of the day, stop blaming your hormones. They're not your enemy. They're very much a part of who you are, and let's find a way to work with them. And thank you for tuning in today. And if you're watching on YouTube, then hit the subscribe button to be notified when we drop new content about how you can create healthy habits that stick, right? Let's hit that subscribe button, please. And if you ever want to book a free session to learn more about how you can create and stick to healthy habits, then hit the link in the comments below. I'll put it in the comments below right now. And just hit that link. It'll take you directly to my calendar. We'll have a free session. We can talk about this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the live for today. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I will answer them. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Love you all. Bye.